The recent ESPN discussion proposing a potential move of Cleveland Browns star defensive end Myles Garrett to the Detroit Lions raises some bold and thought-provoking points from the perspective of an American football fan. This possible trade could be a game-changer, potentially setting the stage for a Super Bowl run for the Lions, a franchise long plagued by mediocrity but steadily on the rise. Analyzing this move involves looking at both the Lions' current trajectory and Garrett's elite status, and how his presence could revolutionize Detroit's defensive strategy. Detroit Lions, a team on the cusp of greatness. Over the past few seasons, the Lions have been quietly building a formidable squad, with one of the most promising young rosters in the NFL. They have developed key players such as Aiden Hutchinson, the second overall pick in the 2022 draft, who despite injuries last year, managed to record 7.5 sacks in only 5 games. His potential when fully healthy is undeniable. Adding Garrett to this defensive line could elevate them into elite status. The Lions are already a team with offensive firepower, but they have often been held back by inconsistency on the defensive end. The injuries they suffered last season made this weakness even more apparent. If the Lions want to seriously contend for a Super Bowl, they need a more consistent pass rush. That's where Myles Garrett comes in. Garrett, one of the most dominant defensive players in the NFL, could be the final piece Detroit needs to create a terrifying front seven. Garrett's ability to pressure quarterbacks and disrupt offenses would complement Hutchinson, who is still developing but showing immense promise. With both of these athletes on the line, Detroit would suddenly possess one of the most intimidating defensive fronts in the league, rivaling the likes of the San Francisco 49ers or the Philadelphia Eagles. Myles Garrett's impact. Garrett is an established force in the NFL. His blend of size, speed, and strength makes him one of the most complete edge rushers in the league. Since being drafted by the Browns in 2017, he has consistently been among the NFL leaders in sacks and quarterback pressures. His dominance on the field is not limited to just his individual stats. He also draws double teams, which opens up opportunities for other players on the defense to make plays. For the Lions, Garrett's presence would mean more than just adding another star player. His leadership and experience could be invaluable to a young, improving team that is still learning how to win in high-pressure situations. If Hutchinson, Garrett, and other defensive stalwarts like Zadarius Smith could stay healthy, the Lions' defense would go from good to elite overnight. Can the Lions make the Super Bowl? The Super Bowl talk may sound premature, but it's not completely out of the realm of possibility. The NFC has been relatively wide open in recent years, and the Lions showed flashes of brilliance last season despite their injury woes. If they can stay healthy and add Garrett to the mix, they would have all the tools needed to make a deep playoff run. The Lions' offense, led by quarterback Jared Goff and a strong running game, has already shown it can score points. The question has always been whether their defense could hold up against top-tier opponents, especially in the playoffs. A dominant defense anchored by Myles Garrett and Aiden Hutchinson would provide the balance Detroit needs to compete against teams like the Eagles or the 49ers, both of whom have strong defenses and powerful running games. The key to winning championships in the NFL has always been a balance between offense and defense, and adding Garrett would tilt the Lions much closer to that ideal equilibrium. The trade scenario, feasibility and challenges. Of course, for this move to happen, the Lions would have to give up significant assets. Myles Garrett is not going to come cheap, and the Browns are not in a position where they need to trade him. For Detroit, the cost would likely include high draft picks and possibly some young talent. The question then becomes, are the Lions willing to mortgage part of their future to win now? For a franchise that has not been to a Super Bowl in its entire history, the temptation to make a win-now move must be strong. However, the Lions have also been careful in building their roster through the draft and shrewd signings. General Manager Brad Holmes has done an admirable job in creating a balanced team, and a trade for Garrett could accelerate the timeline for success. Yet, it's important to remember the lessons of past NFL super teams that have failed. Adding talent doesn't always guarantee success, and the Lions would need to ensure that Garrett fits within their culture and system. Garrett's desire to leave Cleveland, should it become a reality, would also be a factor. If he is motivated and fully invested in helping Detroit win, this could be a match made in heaven. A broader NFL landscape, defensive superstars and contenders. Looking at the broader NFL picture, the potential Garrett to Detroit move fits into a larger trend of teams trying to load up on defensive stars to counter the high-powered offenses dominating the league. The success of teams like the 49ers and Eagles in the NFC shows the value of having a dominant defense to pair with a strong offense. The Lions, with the addition of Garrett, could become part of this new breed of contenders, built on the foundation of suffocating defenses that win in the trenches. The Lions are not far from becoming serious contenders, and the acquisition of Myles Garrett could be the final piece they need to make the leap from playoff hopefuls to legitimate Super Bowl challengers.